Hello and welcome to our Rubank Elementary Method book series for the tuba. If you're new to this series, it is for young tuba players, new tuba players, or anybody who wants to work on their fundamentals. Check the description for more information about this program, but for now we're just gonna jump right into it. We are on lesson 5, page number 7, and we're continuing with quarter notes and rests. Something that this book does incredibly well. It introduces a subject and it builds on that subject slowly as it goes. And so this page 7, this lesson 5, is basically like the final exam of all of the other lessons we've had so far. So what we want to do is we want to focus on our breathing, we want to focus on our tonguing, which we want to focus on all the time, but to really do this successfully, we need to be able to nail all of those aspects we've been working on for the past couple weeks. If you look in the next few weeks, we start to be introduced to the next section of stuff. We get a new key, we get some new time signatures. So when I say this is like a test, this is like a final exam kind of thing, it's because that's basically what it is. Once you feel really solid about playing this stuff in a good way with a good tone, a good breath support, good tonguing, you're ready for this next key. You're ready for this next time signature. And that's why we're working from this book. It does that in such a great way. It should never feel like you're learning things too fast, and it should never feel like things are just showing up out of nowhere. It's a slow progression. So by the time you work through this book, you have really made a ton of progress. To really take things from each lesson, I'm gonna point out things that we talked about in the last 4 lessons before we start playing this. Obviously, toe. Toe is huge. I've said it in most of the videos so far. You want to play with a nice open embouchure, thinking toe. Think about how open your throat and mouth is when you say the word toe. And that's exactly how you want to play when you're playing the tuba. Then of course we want to talk about tonguing. It's tip of the tongue, top of the teeth. You never want to tongue so hard or aggressively that it becomes a problem with your sound. Make sure that when you do tongue, you get that tongue out of the way so the air has plenty of room to travel through. And then we can return a little bit to hearing things in our head and a little bit of the buzzing. Because again, by the time we get to line 4 of this, we're jumping around a little bit. It's not just going up steps of the scale. We're kind of jumping from a B to an F to an A, and we want to be able to hear those intervals in your head. And the more time you spend working on it, listening and using your ear at this stage, you will be in such a better shape going on in the future of this book. If you've been following along with this series and doing the things that I said with those little tips, I think you'll do just fine on this. We're gonna be at 92 beats per minute. Let's give it a shot. So as you can see on line 4, it introduces a new sign for us. It says C footnote. I'm just gonna go ahead and explain it real quick here. But all that's saying is you repeat that measure before it. It's really simple. You play in measure 1 a B flat, a rest, an F, a rest, and then in measure 2 you play the exact same thing. When you see that in the future, you'll know exactly what to look for. Also, in number 5, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a little bit more emphasis on each one, but also we're gonna make them a little bit more separated too. So we're not gonna play them too heavy. There'll be a little bit of separation. We're not gonna just play note to note, because what I want us to work on in number 5 is just really working on the tonguing aspect of the playing. Make sure that you're making that tip of the tongue, top of the teeth connection, which is why we're putting that little space in there. Obviously, you can play it in multiple ways. You can play it connected, you can play it a little bit more separated. I'm choosing to do the separated for now, but in your practicing, try both ways. So that pretty much wraps up this lesson. Did you pass our little pretend test? You obviously have a week to work on this until I post my next lesson with lesson 6. Just make sure that you're thinking about all those things that we talked about. But as we move along to a little bit more advanced topics, remember that the fundamentals is exactly what we just played. All comes down to the breathing, the tonguing, and the tone. And I'm not saying that this will be the last time you hear that from me, because you'll probably hear that from me from every video to the rest of time. These video lessons are great, but they do not replace one-on-one personal lessons. Check the description down below for information on a private lesson with me. If you're not in my area, that's totally fine. Online lessons are totally doable, and especially at this level, on an online lesson, we can talk about things that can help your playing a ton. So check out that link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. Go make life musical, and I'll see you next week.